In 1587, over 100 English colonists settled on Roanoke Island. When resupply ships returned 3 years later, they found the colony abandoned.
The scene depicts a stormy coastline, highlighting the raw power of nature. Waves relentlessly crash against the shore, illustrating the harshness of the environment. Heavy, dark clouds loom overhead, emphasizing the tempestuous weather conditions. The isolated setting underscores a sense of solitude and resilience against the elements. This visual narrative captures the dramatic and untamed beauty of a storm-swept coast. Weathered wooden structures stand as remnants of past human activity. These structures are now empty, indicating a complete absence of human presence. The wind whistles through gaps in the wood, creating an eerie, desolate sound. The scene evokes a sense of abandonment and the passage of time. Close-up views capture the intricate dance of leaves as the wind sweeps through dense island foliage. The movement of the trees evokes a profound sense of natural abandonment. Each rustle and sway highlights the untouched, wild character of the landscape. The continuous motion of the branches symbolizes the relentless passage of time. This natural spectacle underscores the enduring power and solitude of the island environment. The word CROATOAN is carved into an old wooden post or palisade. This single word is linked to the disappearance of the Roanoke Colony in 1590. John White, the colony's governor, found no trace of the settlers, only this carving. The carving was the only clue left behind, suggesting a possible relocation to CROATOAN Island. The fate of the Lost Colony remains one of America's enduring historical mysteries. The central mystery revolves around a significant historical disappearance. Over 100 colonists vanished without a trace from their settlement. This event poses a fundamental question regarding their fate. The absence of any definitive evidence makes this case particularly perplexing. The circumstances surrounding their disappearance remain unexplained. This historical enigma continues to challenge researchers and historians. In disaster assessment, specific indicators are often sought to confirm the scale of an event. One such indicator is the presence of a mass grave, which signifies significant loss of life. The absence of this typical indicator can be a crucial piece of information. A text overlay stating "no confirmed mass grave" highlights this lack of evidence. This indicates that a common sign of widespread fatalities has not been found. Therefore, the absence of such evidence can influence the overall understanding and assessment of a disaster. The fate of the colonists remains a historical enigma, marked by a lack of direct communication. No final message or explanation was ever received from the colonists regarding their disappearance. This absence of communication is a key element contributing to the mystery surrounding their end. The lack of explanatory messages leaves their ultimate fate undetermined and subject to speculation. A historical map of early North America is displayed. The map highlights the region that would become the eastern seaboard of the United States. This visual provides an overview of the geographical context for early American history. It illustrates the initial colonial territories and indigenous lands. Roanoke Island holds significant historical context, particularly in early American colonial history. Geographically, Roanoke Island is located along the outer banks of North Carolina. Its strategic position made it an early site for English colonization attempts. The island is situated between the mainland of North Carolina and the Atlantic Ocean. This location was crucial for its historical role in the establishment of the Lost Colony. Early English colonial efforts began with expeditions to North America. These ventures aimed to establish permanent settlements and expand English influence. Initial attempts involved ships transporting settlers across the Atlantic. The arrival of these settlers marked the beginning of English colonization in the New World. The year 1587 marks a significant event in early American history. It was the year the Roanoke Colony was established. This colony was an early English attempt at permanent settlement in North America. The endeavor holds historical significance as one of the first European settlements. Its establishment represents a pivotal moment in colonial expansion. The Roanoke Colony's fate remains one of history's enduring mysteries. Roanoke holds significant historical importance in the context of English colonization. It is widely recognized as England's initial endeavor to establish a permanent settlement in North America. This attempt marked a pioneering effort in the European expansion into the New World. The settlement's establishment highlighted early challenges faced by colonizers. Roanoke's legacy underscores its foundational, albeit mysterious, role in colonial history. Sir Walter Raleigh was a prominent figure in Elizabethan England, known for his exploration and political influence. He played a significant role in England's early attempts to colonize North America. Raleigh is most famously associated with the Roanoke Colony, established in the late 16th century. This expedition represented a key part of England's broader imperial ambitions during that era. The Roanoke venture, however, ultimately became known as the Lost Colony due to its mysterious disappearance. Governor John White was a prominent figure in the early English colonization efforts in North America. He served as the governor of the Roanoke Colony, an ambitious settlement attempt in the late 16th century. White was appointed by Sir Walter Raleigh to lead the expedition and establish a permanent colony. His role was crucial as the on-the-ground leader responsible for the colony's administration and survival. White's return to England for supplies led to the mysterious disappearance of the Lost Colony of Roanoke. An isolated colonial settlement is depicted, highlighting its remote location. The settlement is surrounded by vast, untamed wilderness, emphasizing its solitude. This geographical isolation presents significant challenges for the inhabitants. Access to resources and external support is severely limited by the remote environment. The illustration conveys the inherent difficulties of survival and development in such conditions. Early colonies often relied heavily on external supplies for survival and development. This dependence meant goods, resources, and even food were shipped from the mother country. For instance, English colonies received vital provisions via ships from England. Such reliance created a significant vulnerability for the colonies. Disruptions to supply lines could lead to severe shortages and instability. Maps illustrate the geographical distribution of early colonial settlements and Native American territories. Overlaid icons on these maps highlight specific areas of potential conflict and tension. These indicators reveal the strained regional environment between European settlers and indigenous groups. The visual representation underscores the historical complexities and flashpoints of colonial expansion. The colonists faced dire circumstances, lacking essential provisions for survival. They convened to discuss their critical situation and potential solutions. The colonists collectively decided that John White must return to England. His mission was to secure vital supplies and additional support for the settlement. White reluctantly agreed, understanding the urgency of their request. The colonists faced an urgent and growing need for essential provisions to sustain their settlement. Their current supplies were dwindling, posing a significant threat to their survival in the new land. This critical situation necessitated immediate action to secure food, tools, and other vital resources. The practical reasons for seeking provisions were paramount for the colony's continued existence. Therefore, a decision was made to send a representative back to England for resupply efforts. This urgent requirement for provisions underscores the immediate purpose of White's journey. The colonists faced increasingly difficult circumstances in their new settlement. Mounting tensions contributed significantly to the deteriorating situation within the colony. These rising pressures necessitated a critical decision by the colonial leadership. The colonists ultimately decided to send John White back to England for assistance. This action underscored the severity of the challenges and the urgent need for external support. John White's initial plan was to return promptly to the colony. His primary objective was to acquire and deliver essential supplies. This intention highlights his commitment to the Roanoke settlement. The text confirms his original strategy for a swift resupply mission. The Anglo-Spanish War, 1585 to 1604, was a significant conflict between England and Spain. This protracted war had a profound impact, diverting considerable resources and attention from other matters. Military campaigns and naval engagements consumed national treasuries and manpower. The conflict's geographic scope illustrates the widespread resource allocation and strategic focus it demanded. Naval blockades are strategic military operations designed to obstruct maritime access to ports or coastlines. These blockades involve deploying naval vessels to intercept and prevent the passage of ships. Such actions create significant practical obstacles for any vessel attempting to navigate the blockaded area. For instance, a naval blockade would severely impede a return voyage, causing substantial delays. The presence of hostile naval forces directly threatens the safe passage and timely arrival of ships. A timeline graphic illustrates the planned return period for an individual or project. This timeline also displays the actual duration of an extended absence. The graphic visually highlights a significant 3-year delay beyond the initial schedule. This visual representation emphasizes the prolonged nature of the absence and its impact. Extended delays can have profound and critical consequences for isolated communities. These delays often disrupt established supply lines and communication channels. For an isolated colony, such disruptions can lead to severe resource shortages. The outbreak of war frequently introduces unforeseen and significant delays. Warfare diverts resources and attention, exacerbating the colony's isolation. Thus, the war directly linked to and critically impacted the colony's ultimate fate. John White, governor of the Roanoke Colony, faced an unexpected delay in his return to the settlement. His initial departure from Roanoke in 1587 was to secure supplies from England. However, the Anglo-Spanish War and other logistical challenges significantly prolonged his absence. After a 3-year delay, White's ship finally approached Roanoke Island in 1590. This illustration depicts his long-awaited arrival back at the colony. John White returned to Roanoke, expecting to find the colonists. An aerial view revealed the settlement completely deserted. There were no signs of human activity within the perimeter. The structures remained, but the inhabitants had vanished. This discovery marked the mysterious disappearance of the Roanoke colonists. The fate of the Lost Colony remains one of history's enduring enigmas. Investigations were conducted to determine the nature of the destruction at the site. The findings specifically addressed the presence or absence of violent events. Evidence indicated no signs consistent with a chaotic massacre. This conclusion rules out immediate, widespread violent destruction. The analysis suggests alternative explanations for the site's condition. The word CROATOAN is found carved into a wooden palisade or post. This inscription serves as the primary clue in the disappearance of the Roanoke colonists. The carving is clearly visible, suggesting it was intentionally left as a message. It indicates a possible destination or interaction with the CROATOAN Native American tribe. The absence of a cross symbol, as prearranged, deepens the mystery surrounding the colonists' fate. The investigation into White's disappearance uncovers a crucial second clue. This clue is found etched into the bark of a tree. The carving distinctly displays the letters CRO. The CRO inscription provides corroborating evidence to the ongoing inquiry. John White discovered specific carvings at the abandoned Roanoke Colony site. These carvings served as a crucial piece of evidence for White. He interpreted the carvings as a deliberate message left by the colonists. This interpretation led him to formulate his initial hypothesis. White hypothesized that the colonists had relocated to another area. The word CROATOAN was found carved into a post at the abandoned Roanoke Colony site. This carving served as a crucial, yet enigmatic clue regarding the colonists' disappearance. CROATOAN Island, now known as Hatteras Island, is located geographically south of Roanoke. A map pinpoints CROATOAN Island, identifying its precise location relative to the Roanoke colony. The carved word likely indicated the colonists' intended destination, or a place of refuge. Historical texts mention CROATOAN Island as a significant location. The precise geographical identification of CROATOAN Island has been a subject of historical inquiry. Modern geographical analysis provides clarity on its present-day location. CROATOAN Island is now generally identified with Hatteras Island. This identification offers crucial context for understanding historical events related to the island. The term CROATOAN refers to a Native American group. This group was historically associated with a specific geographical region. The name CROATOAN indicates a direct cultural connection to this indigenous population. This association is crucial for understanding historical events in the region. John White, governor of the Roanoke Colony, returned to find the settlement deserted. A cryptic message, the word CROATOAN, carved into a post, was discovered. White had previously instructed colonists to carve a cross if forced to leave due to distress. The absence of a cross suggested a planned, non-distressed relocation. White interpreted CROATOAN as an indication the colonists had moved to CROATOAN Island. This evidence strongly supported the theory of the colonists' relocation to CROATOAN Island. Theory A proposes a historical hypothesis regarding early colonial interactions. It posits that colonists assimilated into existing Native American communities. This theory suggests a process of cultural integration and adoption. Colonists would have adopted native customs, languages, and ways of life. This assimilation implies a blending of populations rather than conflict or displacement. The hypothesis challenges traditional narratives of colonial expansion and dominance. Theory A is recognized as a strong mainstream theory within its academic field. Its designation reflects broad acceptance and integration into core scholarly discourse. This theory is foundational, influencing research and understanding in its domain. Academic consensus supports its principles and explanatory power. Archaeological finds provide tangible evidence of past human activity and settlement. Pottery fragments, tools, and other artifacts are unearthed during excavations. These objects offer insights into the daily lives, cultures, and technologies of ancient peoples. Discoveries on Hatteras Island contribute to understanding historical presence in the region. Historical interpretation explores the interactions between early settlers and Native American communities. One theory suggests some settlers may have integrated with friendly native groups. This integration is particularly hypothesized for the CROATOAN, Hatteras Island region. Such interactions could explain the disappearance of certain colonial settlements. This interpretation offers an alternative to theories of conflict or complete loss. Recent reports highlight the discovery of iron flakes on Hatteras Island. These artifacts serve as tangible evidence supporting historical theories. The presence of iron flakes suggests potential cultural exchange activities. Alternatively, it could indicate the presence of early settlers in the region. Such findings are crucial for understanding historical interactions and settlements. One prominent theory suggests the Roanoke colonists were absorbed by the CROATOAN community. This theory posits that survivors integrated into the local Native American tribe. Evidence supporting this includes historical accounts and archaeological findings. The assimilation would have involved cultural exchange and intermarriage. This integration could explain the disappearance of the English settlement. The CROATOAN community provided a means of survival for the struggling colonists. Theory B proposes a violent end for the colonists, contrasting with other hypotheses. This theory suggests the colonists were victims of an attack or conflict. It posits that their disappearance was not voluntary but forced. This alternative hypothesis explores the possibility of foul play. Theory B is identified as a long-standing theoretical framework. It has maintained its presence within historical and academic discussions. This theory has been acknowledged for its enduring relevance over time. Its longevity indicates a consistent recognition in various discourses. The theory's historical presence is a key characteristic of its nature. Theory B posits that settlers face threats from hostile groups. This concept illustrates potential conflicts and attacks. Such encounters could have led to significant challenges for early settlements. The illustration visually represents this historical dynamic of conflict. Theory B examines deaths occurring within general conflict-related circumstances. This perspective broadens the scope beyond direct attacks or specific combat engagements. It considers the wider environment of armed conflict as a contributing factor to fatalities. Such circumstances may include indirect effects of conflict, like displacement or resource scarcity. Deaths could result from lack of medical care, starvation, or exposure due to conflict disruption. This theory acknowledges the complex and multifaceted nature of conflict-induced mortality. Theory B posits an explanation for a particular phenomenon or event. A critical aspect of this theory involves the expected presence of human remains. However, empirical evidence reveals a significant absence of clear human remains. This lack of physical evidence introduces a key inconsistency within Theory B. The absence of remains complicates the theory's validity and explanatory power. The absence of clear signs of destruction at the settlement site is a significant observation. Archaeological analysis reveals no widespread evidence of burning, collapse, or battle damage. This challenges theories, suggesting a violent end or sudden catastrophic event for the settlement. The state of preservation indicates a more gradual or peaceful abandonment, or a different form of decline. Therefore, the lack of obvious destruction necessitates a re-evaluation of the settlement's demise. Conflict is recognized as a significant theoretical framework. This theory posits that societal structures and changes arise from inherent conflicts. It often highlights power struggles and resource distribution as central drivers. However, it is crucial to understand that this remains a theory. It has not been established as a definitively proven conclusion. Maintaining an objective stance is essential when evaluating its propositions. Theory C proposes an alternative explanation for the disappearance of the colonists. This theory suggests that the colonists did not vanish but rather dispersed. They are believed to have split into smaller groups due to various pressures. These groups then relocated to different, perhaps more sustainable, areas. This hypothesis offers a third possibility for their fate, distinct from other theories. Theory C proposes that the Lost Colony of Roanoke migrated inland from their original coastal settlement. This theory suggests a planned movement away from Roanoke Island, possibly due to resource scarcity or conflict. Historical maps illustrate potential routes and destinations for such an inland migration. These routes would have followed rivers or established Native American trails into the interior. The colonists may have sought new lands for farming or to integrate with friendly indigenous tribes. Evidence supporting this theory includes cryptic carvings found at the original site, hinting at relocation. Theory C proposes a mechanism for population dispersal during colonial expansion. It suggests that larger colonial groups did not remain as single, unified entities. Instead, these initial groups underwent a process of division. They fragmented into multiple, smaller, independent units. This division facilitated the spread of the population across a wider geographic area. The graphic illustrates this process, showing a large group breaking into smaller, dispersed units. Theory C posits that early human movements were driven by fundamental needs. The primary motivations for relocation were the search for food resources. Another critical factor was the pursuit of safety from environmental threats and predators. These basic requirements provided a compelling impetus for groups to migrate. The availability of sustenance directly influenced settlement patterns and migratory routes. Seeking secure environments was essential for survival and the establishment of communities. Theory C addresses a significant mystery concerning a past event or phenomenon. A key aspect of this mystery was the absence of a single, dramatic conclusion. Previous investigations failed to identify a definitive, singular ending point. Theory C provides an explanation for this observed lack of a clear, singular end. It posits that the event did not culminate in one decisive moment or outcome. This theory offers a framework to understand why no single end was ever discovered. Theory C proposes that colonists intentionally left their original settlement. This theory suggests a planned relocation rather than an abrupt disappearance. Evidence supports a deliberate, organized move by the inhabitants. The departure was not instantaneous but a considered action. This indicates foresight and preparation for establishing a new site. Theory D proposes that the colonists were lost at sea, a more speculative explanation. This theory suggests that the colonists attempted to return to England or relocate by sea. Their voyage could have encountered severe storms or navigational errors. Such maritime disasters would have resulted in the loss of all passengers and crew. Evidence for this theory is largely circumstantial, relying on the absence of other explanations. The vastness and dangers of the Atlantic Ocean in that era make this a plausible, though unproven, fate. Theory D illustrates a perilous journey, specifically an attempt to leave by boat. This concept is represented by an illustration depicting small boats. These boats are shown navigating through rough and turbulent seas. The rough seas symbolize the significant dangers and challenges faced. The entire scene conveys the high-risk nature of such a sea journey. Theory D is characterized by its speculative nature within academic discourse. It typically emerges in later stages of discussion or analysis. This theory lacks substantial empirical evidence or foundational support. Consequently, Theory D holds a lower evidentiary standing compared to established theories. Theory D proposes an explanation for the mysterious disappearance of settlers. It suggests the settlers did not remain in their original location. Instead, they may have chosen to embark on a sea voyage. This journey was likely an attempt to relocate to a new settlement or return home. However, the theory posits that they vanished during this maritime travel. Their disappearance is attributed to unforeseen perils encountered at sea, such as storms or navigation errors. The concept of a remote frontier symbolizes an untamed and challenging environment. Such landscapes are often characterized by their isolation and harsh natural conditions. These environments present significant obstacles to human settlement and development. Colonies established in these areas face enduring mysteries and unknown perils. Survival requires resilience, resourcefulness, and constant adaptation to the wild. The frontier represents both a physical place and a state of perpetual challenge. The Roanoke Colony, established in the late 16th century, remains one of history's most enduring mysteries. It is famously known as the Lost Colony due to the unexplained disappearance of its inhabitants. The colony's status as a failed colony significantly contributes to its enigmatic appeal. Historians and archaeologists continue to investigate the fate of the settlers, with no definitive answers. This unresolved disappearance fuels ongoing fascination and speculation about what transpired at Roanoke. The mystery surrounding John White's return is a critical historical enigma. A significant factor in this mystery is the exceptionally long delay in his return journey. This extended timeline visually emphasizes the duration of his absence. The long delay is central to understanding the unresolved fate of the Roanoke colony. The concept of a vanished population refers to groups of people who disappeared from historical records. This phenomenon often presents an enduring mystery for researchers across various disciplines. A fading human silhouette visually represents the gradual disappearance of such a population. This graphic symbolizes the loss of their presence and the enigma surrounding their fate. It prompts inquiry into the causes and implications of such demographic shifts throughout history. The CROATOAN carving remains a singular and enigmatic clue in a historical mystery. This cryptic inscription was found at the abandoned Roanoke Colony site. Its presence suggests a possible destination or fate for the vanished colonists. However, the true meaning and intent behind the carving are still debated by historians. The CROATOAN carving continues to be a focal point of an enduring historical enigma. Some mysteries persist across generations, defying definitive resolution. The absence of conclusive evidence or a definitive recovery often fuels this endurance. Each new generation approaches the existing evidence with fresh perspectives. This leads to continuous reinterpretation of facts, theories, and possibilities. Such reevaluation prevents the mystery from fading into obscurity. Thus, the lack of closure ensures the mystery remains alive and relevant through time. The disappearance of the Roanoke colonists is often presented as an unsolved mystery. However, the term mystery can sometimes imply supernatural or inexplicable events. This perspective often overshadows the historical context and plausible explanations. The Roanoke case is not a supernatural phenomenon, but a historical puzzle. Its resolution lies within the realm of historical possibilities and evidence. Understanding this distinction grounds the narrative in factual inquiry rather than folklore. The narrative frames history as a deeply human story, focusing on the experiences of individuals and communities. It highlights themes of survival, illustrating humanity's resilience against environmental and societal challenges. The story also emphasizes migration patterns, detailing the movement of peoples and their impact on global development. Furthermore, it explores cultural contact, showcasing the exchange and fusion of diverse traditions and ideas. Colonial fragility refers to the inherent vulnerabilities of early settlement attempts. These vulnerabilities often stemmed from environmental challenges, resource scarcity, and unfamiliar diseases. Lack of established infrastructure and support systems further exacerbated the precariousness of colonial life. Conflicts with indigenous populations also posed significant threats to the stability of new colonies. This theme highlights the constant struggle for survival and the high risks associated with establishing new settlements. The concept of mystery often arises from gaps in historical understanding. This perspective suggests that mysteries are not due to impossible events. Instead, they stem from the historical record breaking apart at critical junctures. Such breaks obscure information, leading to perceived enigmas rather than actual impossibilities. Mainstream discourse often focuses on conventional explanations for unexplained phenomena. These explanations typically involve concepts like relocation, where individuals or groups move. Another common mainstream explanation is assimilation, where groups integrate into a larger culture. This approach contrasts sharply with paranormal explanations, which involve supernatural or unexplainable events. Therefore, mainstream emphasis prioritizes logical, historical, or sociological factors over the mysterious. The colony's disappearance from its original location has been definitively established. Evidence confirms the absence of the colony from its previously documented site. This fact is undeniable, based on available information and observations. The colony is no longer present at the specified geographical coordinates. The mysterious disappearance of the Roanoke colonists remains a historical enigma. A key piece of evidence found was the word CROATOAN, carved into a post. This inscription suggests the settlers did not vanish due to sudden disaster or attack. Instead, the clue points towards a planned relocation from their original settlement. The CROATOAN message indicates a possible move to CROATOAN Island, home of a friendly Native American tribe. The conclusion addresses the most plausible outcome based on available evidence. This outcome suggests an absorption into surrounding Native communities. Such absorption implies integration and merging with existing indigenous populations. This process would involve cultural, social, and possibly genetic assimilation. The evidence supports this as the most likely historical trajectory. It represents a significant aspect of historical demographic shifts. The complete narrative of certain events remains unrecorded. This absence of documentation creates significant gaps in historical understanding. Crucial details were never formally preserved or transmitted. Consequently, the full context and nuances are lost to history. This highlights the fragility of historical knowledge when not adequately recorded. The true tragedy lies not in a sudden disappearance or vanishing without a trace. It is the absence of a clear and definitive conclusion to their story. Their final chapter remains unwritten, leaving an unresolved narrative. This lack of closure prevents understanding and acceptance of their fate. The real tragedy is the perpetual uncertainty surrounding their ultimate end. The Roanoke Colony, established in the late 16th century, remains one of history's most baffling unsolved cases. English settlers mysteriously vanished from the island, leaving behind few clues. The word CROATOAN, carved into a post, is the primary piece of evidence found. Despite centuries of research, no definitive explanation for their disappearance has been found. Theories range from assimilation with Native American tribes to violent conflict or natural disaster. Roanoke's status as a profound historical enigma continues to endure through time.